here's a great use of a lot of compression, delay, and reverb. This is something Jeff Beck would use, really kind of playing up some stuff he would do with the bar and the harmonics. What the compressor does here, the chain is very simple. It's compressor, delay, and reverb. Lots of reverb, lots of compression. That's really the key on this. So let's just turn them off, and you can hear how much reverb I have right off the bat. So it's a lot. You listen to songs like Where Were You by Jeff Beck, the great work he did on the What God Wants record by Roger Waters. So the problem is when you play these harmonics on the guitar, they sound cool, of course, but if you put in a compressor, that's really going to make them sustain a lot longer. All right, so listen to that note. Listen to that sustain. I quote Nigel Tufnell, of course. So if I'm using the bar like he would, it really lets those notes really sustain a really long period of time. And once again, what the compressor is doing is it's stopping the higher notes from getting too loud, but in this case, it produces a really nice sort of attack. But as the note starts to decay volume-wise, and I'm using the bar, it pushes up the volume, so it makes those notes ring out a lot longer. So that's where a compressor is really great as a guitar effect. Now, one thing that Beck is doing, let's put on the delay again for a second, here is he's striking a note with the volume down, so you're missing the initial attack. And in that case, when you do that, you don't hear the delay. Makes it a little more haunting than, say... So if you don't like the attack, you can really just load up the reverb and turn off the delay. So same idea. Right, so it's up to you. The delay really kind of makes it a lot wetter sounding. So now without the compressor, once again, with the delay and the reverb, right, so it's cool, but you put that on, really rings out on top of each other really beautifully. And you can fret notes. If you really want to get the Jeff Beck sound, it's more of a guitar thing, I'm going to use my fingers like he does. I'm going to snap those strings. So I'm really going... And he actually brought us by punching that bridge. Okay, there's the Jeff Beck kind of usage. Now, if I roll back the wetness stuff here, I can get something like David Gilmour gets on Another Brick in the Wall, or I can get that range of sort of like Mark Knopfler. If you want to get that kind of great sort of punchy or clean sound, this is where the compressor works out well. So I'm just going to turn down the effect altogether on the reverb, kind of kill that delay. So my reverb, kind of subtle. Okay, now, without the compressor, I'm going to play a few licks, Now put on the compressor. I'm going to put on a little bit of delay. I'm going to bring that effect level way down. Well, there we go. So on something like Another Brick in the Wall, those big overbends, it really keeps that note sustaining. So that's where a compressor sounds really cool. On that particular recording, David Gilmour is running straight into a recording mixing board with a compressor. So he's actually not even running through an amp. So you can hear that same similar attack. And actually on that, he's using a Les Paul Jr. with a P90s as opposed to a Strat, which I thought was interesting guitar nerd history. Okay, so to get back into that Jeff Beck thing, sorry, just to compare the two once again, I brought down my delay and I brought down my reverb for more of that Mark Knopfler, David Gilmour sound. If I want to get back to that delay, the big Jeff Beck wet stuff, I'm going to just bring everything back up. There we go. So fade those notes in, try to use my fingers. Yep, missed that. As you hear Beck do sometimes too. Little note, bridge pickup works best for the harmonics.